Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I was just sitting in Flat Earth Debate's Science versus Pseudoscience Discord server this morning, shooting the breeze with the hammer and a few other guys, playing a bit of Pot Limit Omaha, when who should come in but my good friend Quantum Eraser. And let me tell you, he was none too happy about me being in his server, shouting all sorts of obscenities left and right. And in true Quantum Eraser style, he server muted me and took away my text chat permissions. So nothing screams internet tough guy more than having to tie your opponent's hands behind his back before you proceed to beat them up. Anyway, I took a few minutes away from my computer to go and have a little cry, and when I came back, he'd posted the usual numpty clip, as well as a Ballbusters episode about the Blackpool Swan photo, which if you didn't know, this was the photo that finally turned Ranty from Flat Earther back to the globe. I'll leave a link to Ranty's channel in the description. So this numpty clip is a snippet of me talking in Discord a year or two ago about how science doesn't prove things, and how it's not possible to write a logical syllogism that proves a scientific hypothesis. So a very short summary of the logic is as follows. Number one, if my hypothesis is true, then I expect a certain result from my experiment. I got the expected result from my experiment. And the conclusion is, therefore, my hypothesis is true. Now, obviously, that is a textbook affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. And this, in a nutshell, is why science doesn't prove things. Anyway, Quantum Eraser, being Quantum Eraser, seems to think that simply citing a source that agrees with him is a valid way to win an argument. So he's found a few quotes on the internet that agree with him in that science proves hypotheses to be true. So let's have a look at one.
By the way, your mindless parrot of no science proofsies. From Lumen Learning, Biology for Majors forming a hypothesis. You must be able to test your hypothesis, and it must be possible to prove your hypothesis true. Duh.
Yep. And if you look at that page in the Wayback Machine from June 2021, that's certainly what it said. But QE, I don't know what to tell you, champ. If you go and check that page now, it's saying it must be possible to prove your hypothesis false. Doesn't say anything about proving a hypothesis true anymore. So maybe they realized they made a mistake and went back to fix it. Who knows? Anyway, let's check your next citation.
From Genome Research, 1999, Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory. Students are taught that the proper way to do science is through the following steps. First, devise a hypothesis, and then design experiments that will prove or disprove it. My word.
Oh, yep, you got me here, QE. That certainly is what it says. Although I do wonder what would happen if we scrolled down that page a little bit and checked out some of the articles that cited this article. Reverse engineering, genome-wide association studies of mice, men, and the genome. Oh, this one looks interesting. Methodological function of hypotheses in science. Old ideas in new cloth. Let's go and have a look at that, shall we? Okay, so I've only pulled out two quotes from this article. Goodman, who is the author of the original, suggests that the experimental data are a starting point in molecular biology research. This is true in many fields of science. Only in the next step do scientists propose hypotheses that then are checked by falsification tests. In this procedure, hypotheses are based on solid facts and then in the empirical test undergo a falsification, not a verification. And then the next quote states that researchers are focused on facts that falsify a hypothesis. Therefore, they are focused on facts that are parts of negative tests. So the editors made a response. That's interesting. Let's have a read of this one. In this regard, in focusing on another point, the editorial did not appropriately indicate how hypotheses should be handled after they are made and erroneously spoke of proving a hypothesis. Thus, the authors above make an extremely important point, one that is wholly agreed with here. Unlike mathematical theorems, hypotheses in other scientific fields, especially molecular biology, cannot be proven, but can only be accepted as true until proven false. In this regard, the best hypotheses, no matter what stage in the scientific process they are generated, are those that can be best tested for falseness. Signed by Laurie Goodman, the author of the original article and the editor of the journal. So maybe you'll have better luck on your next citation, QE. Let's have a look.
From Anne-Marie Helmenstein, PhD, Biomedical Sciences, requirements for a testable hypothesis. In order to be considered testable, two criteria must be met. It must be possible to prove the hypothesis is true, and it must be possible to prove the hypothesis is false. Duh.
Ah, crap. Well, I guess you got me there, QE. Anne-Marie Helmenstein did indeed write that. It must be possible to prove that the hypothesis is true. Shit. But that name rings a bell. I'm wondering if that's the same Anne Helmenstein that now owns the Science Notes website. Yep, says here she wrote for about.com, which became ThoughtCo. That seems to check out. And what a massive coincidence, because literally yesterday, July 23rd, 2022, she wrote an article on her website, and I quote, "While it's not possible to prove a theory, a single contrary result using the scientific method can disprove it. In other words, a theory is testable and falsifiable." Thanks, Anne Helmenstein. So there you go, QE. Not even your own citations agree with you anymore. They've all realized their mistake and corrected the record like good scientists should. But there was one last thing. So while you were hurling abuse at me from the safety of your mute button, you challenged me to a debate. Let's have a listen.
QE versus Ruhif debate. That's like King Kong versus little fucking Miss Muffet. Jesus. Give me a second grader at least. Fuck. Yeah, he wants to debate me. I'll debate him anywhere he wants. $10,000 in my PayPal account. Anywhere he wants.
Well, you'll be happy to know that I accept. And as luck would have it, my speaking fee is also $10,000. So you stick 10 grand in my account, and then I'll stick 10 grand in your account, and let's schedule it up. What would you like the topic to be? The celestial navigation debate the other day was pretty fun. Do you want to have a crack and see if you can do better than refracted curvature? Or do you want to debate the Blackpool Swan photo? I'm cool either way, so let me know, okay? Thanks, Buttercup.